Florida State going on the road to take on Clemson, noon kickoff at Clemson. I'll tell you what, this game is, I think this has a lot more it's got a lot more on the line than just being a ACC football game. These two teams have been kind of nipping back and forth at each other for the last couple of years about who is going to be the premier team in the ACC, who's going to take the mantle as the top dog. And I think this is the weight that Florida State's walking into this ends, because every statistic, everything says that this is the year. This is when the game that Florida State's going to go and just dominate and absolutely thrash Clemson. And trust me, as a Gamecock fan, I'm hoping for it. I enjoy it. Every Saturday I vote for I go for Carolina and whoever's playing against Clemson. So Florida State, I got them winning this game. But last week scared me in that game against Boston College. And part of it was for me, and I'm hoping this is what it was, and I chalked it up to, hey, they walked into this game, they knew the importance, after what I just said, of what the Clemson game is going to mean for them this year, because this is the passing of the mantle of who's going to run the ACC, and that they just got caught looking ahead. And so they let Boston College get that confidence like we talked about in the Colorado game. You let them keep that confidence through that game, and at the end of that Boston College game, they felt like they could win it, and then Florida State eventually had to pull it out. I honestly just think that Clemson has way too many problems internally, team-wise, than a lot of people are letting on. You know, I think I sent you guys a video clip of what was going on in the game last week with Clemson. You got your leading running back getting into it with the running backs coach, CJ Spiller, arguing because he didn't get the ball on the 1 yard line, and y'all are already up 33-0 at that point in time in the game. The game's already over with, and you're arguing about trying to get a touchdown. I mean, I think there are absolutely glaring, personnel issues. I think there's glaring personal issues with a lot of these players on this team. I don't believe in Cade Klubnik. Anytime he's faced with any true test against a competent team, he does not show up. He throws the ball away way too much. I'm telling you what, they put up numbers against Charleston Southern, but they let Charleston Southern hang around in it until late in the second quarter. And in FAU, they got that game done pretty fast. But you go back to that Duke game and that Tennessee game, their last two real games, and it hadn't looked pretty at all. I don't think they have the receivers to score with Florida State. I think they have the running game, but they don't use their running game. They still want to be a Trevor Lawrence style, we want to pass it all over the yards type of team, and that's not who they are right now. Florida State, I think, is going to come back with I think they have the edge mentally, saying that they're embarrassed about how they looked against Boston College, so they got something to prove. And on top of that, they want to put their stamp on this game to say, hey, the ACC is ours. We have arrived. It's our game. I think you're going to get big numbers across the board from all of your offensive players. I think Jordan Travis is going to have an absolutely monster day. Keenan Coleman is going to have an absolutely monster day. Jaheim Bell, I think everybody's going to get involved. I think it's just going to be too much for Clemson to handle. And I think this is going to be a absolute Florida State show. As to, this is going to be the week, I think, that they're going to try to make their mark and say, just like we talked about last week, that no team in the country yet has come out and said, we are a college football playoff team. I think this is the week that Florida State puts their mark on the map and says, we are the first team that's going to announce that, hey, rest of the season after today, we have a slot already marked up. Go ahead and give us our ticket to making the college football playoff.
I'm right there with you. I think this game is going to be incredibly, incredibly iconic for the overall shape up of the ACC. Now, why is this game a game of the week? Because I think it is the passing of the torch of the ACC. It was Clemson's for a long, long time. They got some championships when they had that mantle. And I think that's overall great for the ACC as a conference. But Clemson is not a team that I think they can win in this game. I don't think they can put their best performance on and win this game. And I think of that overall just because their lack of talent that overall shows up in big-time moments, like you said. The quarterback doesn't show up in big-time moments. They can't run the ball because they're usually behind in big-time moments. And I don't see a receiver on there right now that could really just overall take over a game. So that shows big problems for a Clemson offense. Now, their defense interiorly is built to win this game. they're going to be able to hold up against what Florida State is going to bring from a running standpoint and from a strength standpoint. But I don't think their back end is going to be able to hang with these two receivers. Florida State has exactly the opposite of what I think Clemson has. They got a quarterback who has shown I can show up in big-time games. Going back to LSU, first game of the season, big-time atmosphere. He showed up when it mattered the most. The wide receiver, Keenan Coleman, oh my gosh, he's already showed that I could be a top round receiver. I could be a top 10 pick because I got the size, I got the strength, and I got the speed to be dominant. And I'm not the only one on this offense that could do that. So Florida State, to me, just has to be themselves to win this game. Going into Death Valley, because I think we're going to Clemson. Is that right, Van?
Yep.
Yeah.
Going to Clemson is always going to be an issue because Death Valley is no place to lollygag. Because the fan there are going to be showing up for that game. It's 12 o'clock game. They're going to show up for it. They're going to be ready for it. Probably already going to be drunk by the time you get to the stadium. So understand, the atmosphere is going to be crazy. Hit with waves. Hit with waves. Come in there, knock them out early. They're going to try to bounce back, knock them out going into the second half. I got Florida State winning by at least 14 points.
Yeah, Florida State, they're gonna handle this game. There's a couple things going on right now with Florida State, like you guys talk about the changing of the guard. That for if no other reason, gives Florida State all the mental that they need to go out here and dominate this game. But once they get past Clemson, they got Virginia Tech, Syracuse, Duke, Wake Forest, Pitt, and then you got 7 weeks later, you got Miami. Still don't really know who Miami is, but they get past this game, they gonna have nothing but momentum. Right. The national pundits, everyone's gonna be talking about Florida State. They might even end up somewhere between this week and the time they get ready to play Miami as #1 team in the country. Now, how they handle that, I don't know. It's been a while. It's been a while since Florida State has been on top of the mountain, right? How do you handle that? One of the good things also is probably half these kids on the team don't even really remember the glory days of Florida State, right? I mean, it's been a while. So Florida State's biggest challenge is going to be Florida State from this point on to the remainder of the season. They've got everything that it takes to win. I do think that they will be a playoff team. The guard is going to change. All these things are going to happen on Saturday. The quarterback, not only the quarterback, but the receiver, they got a two-headed monster that both individuals could end up being talked about as far as Heisman contenders or whatever the case may be. Florida State has the recipe. They have all the ingredients of a team that can make a championship run. Clemson is just currently in the way. So yeah, I got 17-point victory, Florida State, and it's not going to appear that close.
Got you.
Yeah, definitely. And now, do you think with this game, is this it? Is Clemson done after this? If they when they lose this game, is that it? Is that the talk is over? The hype is over? It's finally calmed down? Is it finally done? As far as the talks of Clemson being the dynasty, the ACC problem child, all of this and that, and national media, is this it for them? Is it if they lose this game? Is it done?
It is, and I'm going to tell you one of the main reasons why. It's going to be recruiting. You've already seen them slide. Clemson start sliding a little bit. You already see Clemson, Florida State going up, so they're passing each other in the recruiting battle. Clemson's going the wrong way. That's yes, to answer your question, but that's why. The lack of NIL movement, not NIL movement, but the lack of transfer portal, the things that Dabo is not doing that everybody else is doing, is obviously holding his program down. He would have had to have changed his philosophy 2 years ago to be able to avoid this happening to him tomorrow. And he didn't do that. This train been coming for a minute and it's over.
To answer your question, I'm going to say no. They're not going to be overall done as an overall organization or a front runner just because of the conference that they're in. Now, yes, they're going to have another person in that conference that can stand with them, which I think is going to be something different than what we've seen over the last 5 years from Clemson. But being an ACC, and why I think Clemson was able to get to the top of the mantle how they was is because overall you mainly have 1 or 2 tests per season, and then it's the playoffs. I think they can overall put together a team that can win those 1 or 2 games. If I got to say 1 game a year during my regular season, I got to win. And I got to win my championship for my conference to get to the playoffs. I think they still have they can still be a top tier team in the ACC. So I'm not going to write them off yet. But can they beat the top tier teams? I'm going to say no to that. I don't think they could beat the Bamas. I don't think they could beat the Georgias. I don't think they could beat the Ohio States. No top tier team over there. I don't think they could beat that. I think they have to right now focus on being the best ACC team they can be, which in a lot of years will give them a slot, especially with the expansion, being in the playoffs and being in a place where they can have a shot at doing something. So it's interesting, but they're not the same Clemson. They're not the Clemson of old, if that's what you're overall asking.
Gotcha. Well, thank you, everybody, for tuning in yet again. Week 4, we're going to enjoy it this weekend. I think it's going to be real interesting. We got a lot of games. It's probably our biggest weekend game-wise, especially with out-of-conference games of the season so far. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, leave a comment. We'll get back to you. We appreciate y'all. Go ahead and hit that share button also. Get it out to your people, get it out to your friends, get it out to your family. We'll greatly appreciate it. We'll keep this content rolling for you and keep it coming for you. So we'll catch y'all next time. It's been good.
Roll time.
All right, baby.